My parents abandoned me on my wedding day, to vacation in Miami with my sister. So while they sipped cocktails on the beach, I sold the house I saved for them, paid off my debts, and donated the rest. My name is Clifton Blackwood. I'm a 32-year-old man, and if you asked anyone who knows me, they'd say I'm calm, rational, and patient. But the truth is patience runs out, especially when you've been the forgotten son for decades, especially when betrayal slaps you in the face on the most important day of your life. Growing up, I wasn't unloved, I was just invisible, at least compared to my younger sister Emily. She was the golden child, the miracle baby, the light of the family. Everything she touched was special, everything she did was praised, while my wins were brushed aside with a good job, now keep working harder. She got piano lessons, summer camps, designer clothes, while I was told, "You're older, you'll figure it out." It stung, but I swallowed it because I thought maybe adulthood would even the score. It didn't. When Emily crashed her car at 19, my parents bought her a brand new one the following week. When I needed help with college tuition, I was told to take out more loans. When she wanted to move to Los Angeles to find herself, they sent her off with $20,000 in savings. When I mentioned starting my own business, they laughed and told me to keep my steady job. I should have walked away back then, but family has a way of keeping you chained. You always hope things will change. You always hope one day they'll finally see you. Fast forward to my wedding, the day I thought would be different. The day I thought they'd finally show up for me. I paid for everything myself, from the venue to the flowers. I even bought my mom a custom dress so she could feel beautiful walking in. But on that morning, as I stood in my suit adjusting my tie, I got a text from her phone that said, "Sorry honey, Emily surprised us with a trip to Miami. We couldn't say no, have a beautiful day." I stared at the screen in shock, my hands shaking, my stomach twisting. My own parents were on a plane with Emily while I was about to marry the love of my life. I had to plaster on a smile, shake hands, and walk down the aisle pretending I wasn't breaking inside. When my wife noticed how stiff I was, she whispered, "Are you okay?" I just said, "Yeah, just nerves." Because how do you explain to the woman you love that your family abandoned you for a vacation? At the reception, my best man leaned over and muttered, "Dude, your parents aren't here?" Not even for one speech. I laughed it off, but my chest was tight. Every toast from her family felt like salt in my wound. Because while her parents were hugging us and crying, mine were drinking cocktails by the ocean. That night, as I held my wife and tried to sleep, something inside me snapped. I decided I wasn't going to play the forgotten son anymore. If they wanted Emily to be the center of their lives, then fine, but I was going to show them what happens when you treat someone like a disposable backup. The opportunity came faster than I expected. Years ago, when my parents were drowning in debt, I co-signed their mortgage so they wouldn't lose their house. They promised they'd fix their finances and treat me fairly, but they never paid me back. They just kept living comfortably while I picked up the slack. I had forgotten about it. But now, staring at old paperwork, I realized I had power, legal power they probably didn't even remember existed. I hired a lawyer. I sat in his office shaking with nerves as I explained the situation. He looked at the documents, raised an eyebrow, and said, "You have more control than you think." Hearing that made my heart pound. Revenge wasn't just a fantasy, it was possible. The process took weeks, paperwork, signatures, technicalities. But I didn't mind. Every delay gave me more time to imagine their faces when they found out. More time to steady myself. More time to prepare for the storm. Then it happened. The papers went through, the sale was finalized, and just like that, their house wasn't theirs anymore. I didn't warn them. I didn't drop hints. I just let it play out. 3 weeks later, while they were on another Miami trip for Emily's birthday, the house was officially gone. When they landed, my phone exploded with calls. My dad's voice was a mix of rage and panic. "What the hell did you do?" My mom cried, "How could you betray us like this?" Emily jumped in on speaker yelling, "You're jealous. You've always been jealous, admit it." I stayed calm. "You want to talk about betrayal? You missed your son's wedding, not for an emergency, not for work, but because Emily waved a vacation in your face. You've chosen her over me my entire life. This isn't betrayal, this is balance." My dad tried to threaten me with lawyers, but I reminded him whose name was on the paperwork, whose credit saved them from foreclosure, whose money paid off their late taxes. His voice went silent. My mom begged me to reconsider, but it was already too late. Here's the part no one in my family knows. I didn't even keep the money. I used part of it to pay off debts tied to my name. Then I donated the rest to a foundation that gives scholarships to underprivileged kids. And I made the donation under Emily's name. So the town praised her for being so generous, while she fumed knowing she had no hand in it. The irony? People still come up to her saying, "Emily, that donation changed lives." And she has to fake a smile through clenched teeth. It's a revenge that keeps burning, not just once, but every time someone brings it up. Do I regret it? Sometimes at night I think about my mom crying on the phone. But then I remember standing at the altar, scanning the crowd for my parents, knowing they chose cocktails over me, and the regret fades, because I know they finally felt a fraction of the emptiness I lived with for years. Today, I live in a modest home with my wife, we're happy, we're building our own traditions, and I finally cut the chains of being the forgotten son. My parents still send bitter messages, Emily still plays the victim, but I sleep better than I ever have, because I know, for once in my life, I wasn't the quiet kid who got left behind. I was the storm that erased the golden child spotlight, and I don't regret a single second of it. When family shows you they don't value you, stop begging for their love. Protect your peace, set boundaries, and never be afraid to walk away. Sometimes distance is the only revenge and the only healing. Please like, share and subscribe for more stories. Thank you.